tempo spells, Temur cantrips, whatever you want to call it. We got Dragonsguard Elite and Dorit the Perfect Pet that got bigger as we cast lots of spells. We've got Pteramander that pays us off for having a bunch of instants and sorceries in our graveyard. And we've got Soul-Scar Mage that pumps up for the turn with prowess as we cast spells. We also have a plethora of cantrips here, Abundant Harvest, Opt, and Crash Through. Crash Through notably giving things trample as well, which is nice. You know, your Dragonsguard Elite can get quite large, then you don't want your opponent to chump block you out. Something notable here, there's no brainstorms in this deck list, so it's difficult to fit for Fabled Passage and Basics into a 3-color mana base in this format, especially when you're trying to play a low land count like this. We're only on 20 lands. Abundant Harvest would be our only way to clear brainstorms off the top of our deck, so I like the lack of brainstorm inclusion in here. We've got some Shocks and some Bonecrusher Giants as damage-based interaction, and then we've got Spell Pierce along with Decisive Denial as some counter-spell-based interaction in the main deck. And I really like the inclusion of Decisive Denial here. So, neat split card from Strixhaven, counter a non-creature spell unless its controller pays 3, so like Mana Leak against the control decks, and it's a fight in the other creature matchups, which alongside our Dorats and Dragonsguard Elite should be quite handy for killing quite the large range of things for us. So, let's go ahead and dive on into some games here with this and see how this Dragonsguard Elite deck goes. Yeah, Denial seems like a very reasonable Magic card. I don't think I can keep this on the play, huh? I guess if I hit second land, it's like really good. If this was an opt, I'd keep it. I'm gonna mulligan. 2 shots is low. And then this hand is keepable because this guaranteed draws us a land, right? I'm going to keep Shock against Allura's deck as opposed to Crash Through. The mana base makes it not standard legal. Soul-Scar Mage, Tier. This deck actually has a lot of not standard legal cards in it. Nice, nice. Is there a Fatal Push in my future? Pass for now. I think I want to shock this Thieves Guild Enforcer. So when I asked about Stormwing Entity, I don't know. The important thing to remember about Stormwing Entity is, like, that's technically a 3-mana card. Like, there's no mana morphos in this format, so comes at a cost. And this is why I waited to play Abundant Harvest. Because last turn, if I'd have cast Abundant Harvest, I think I would have wanted to grab a land. But now we drew running land, so I think we're just getting a spell here. Good of the 1/3 here. Yeah, my dojo doesn't contain fear, so I'm gonna get my point of damage in. And see, chat? They had the 1/3, but they were scared. Ooh. Oh, that was a mistake. If they mill me enough, I could adapt to this. Yeah, I should have left the blue open here. Not quite. Shadow's Verdict isn't a card that sees much play in this format, no, so I don't think it's worth adjusting my deck to play around it. Huh. I think I'm in for all the Decisive Denial at this point. Decisive Denial, chat. It's like a Republican theme card. What if we didn't do that? Thanks to the 26 bucks, Billy Zane. That's kind of a sick draw. Man, thinking about how I want to tap my lanes here is kind of tough. Is this lethal? This is lethal, right? What a sick first game. Wants to fight? Wants to fight? Yeah, that was sweet. Pteramander looking really impressive there. Deck's perfect, please retire. Scary Terry punching the clock and going to work, chat. Hey, Wolfwood, thanks for 29 months. Welcome back. All right, so Reckless Rage matchup. Snakeskin Veil seems pretty good. I think Trample's much better than First Strike because I don't want people to chump block my Dragonsguard. Oh, that's awkward. Yeah, if you put Snakeskin on this, you can't adapt it. Just be Blossoming Defense. I feel like that consideration probably means this should be Blossoming Defense. I probably don't need Trample in this matchup specifically, though, right? Maybe let's trim that. It seems fine. I could see arguments for Miscast being in my deck, but I don't know that I like Miscast better than any of the cards we're already playing. Hey, thanks for the 2 months, match. Yeah, I think the chance of you pumping this is a lot less likely than the chance of you adapting, though. And Blossoming Defense pushes more damage in the short term. Aim to please, Wolf. Yes, it's fine, right? Definitely lead Soul-Scar here. So now there's a question of, do I want to hold up Veil here? I think the answer is probably no, right? I have triple threat. I guess I'll open on attacking. And I think we just go dork, right? Read. Yikes. Well, they don't have a land. Okay. I think I just draw Wellspring here. Deathrite Shaman is legal in Pioneer, but it's not really playable. Yeah, Shaman tends to be worse than, like, Scavenging Ooze without fetch lands. So we get to stomp this, crack them for 6, shock this in. This game should be done. Feels good getting to punish their slow start here. Yeah, I agree, kid. In terms of archetype and spell diversity, Historic is like second to none right now. Yeah, what's up? Apologies. We have folks doing some work in our house this morning, and Christy wanted my opinion on something before they install it. No, not a crisis. Not a castable spell, that's fine. So this deck doesn't really play sweepers, and if they do play sweepers, it's usually Languish, so Wellspring will live through that. Apologies for the small interruption. Are you dead yet? Here we are on 20 lands. Sweet. Impressive first try. That second game was kind of whatever the opponent stumbled, but the first game, both of our both decks got to function. It was good. I recommend the contractors that we hire. This is the first time these folks, the work that's being done this morning, we have folks installing, they're installing a whole house water filtration system to clean extra crap out of the water. Because the water in Central Illinois, especially compared to like where Christy and I grew up in and around Chicago, is not the greatest quality. Like, to give context, like, my wife's doctor literally told her not to drink the tap water when she was pregnant. And like, to make formula for Haley, the 10-month-old, we have to buy pre-filtered water. I mean, the water we have is drinkable. It's just not ideal. Like, this is water out of the tap, like. Oh, good! We have Spell Pierce against Skrull. This is perfect. Yeah, distilled is the recommended full effect. I don't know how our opponent hopes to beat this Spell Pierce. Didn't even... Oh! Oh, yeah. See, chat, you thought I was joking. You thought I was joking, but the secret to victory here was that Spell Pierce. Got him. Ha! Got him. You love to see it. I don't know that we're gonna be able to make the second one work, chat. The first one was funny. The second one probably means we die during it. Niv with the sub gifty. Thank you for the support. Okay. I have a moose. The moose is loose, chat. Allow the Wellspring to sing you the song of its people. Who's got 2 thumbs and dies to Embercleave? This guy right here. Alright, so... Reckless Rage is good. Spell Pierce is not. Honestly, we don't really have that much to board in here, right? I don't know if that's really a problem, though. Like, our main deck doesn't have many terrible cards. It's, like, mostly just these Spell Pierces. We just swap those. There could maybe be an argument for this, but it's, like, also hard to hold this up early, and +1/+1 isn't that large of a boost. Yeah, I think those should probably be blossoming. Blossoming would be a little bit better here. Flame Sweep is good against Skrull. Flame Sweep is high variance against Skrull. I suppose with Soul-Scar Mage, maybe Flame Sweep gets better. So, like, you're right that there's, like, the Burning Emissary draws out of Gruul where Flame Sweep is great. But they also have draws where it doesn't do anything. But, like, this potentially changes that dynamic because it, like, shrinks their X3s and X4s. I think you're right that Flame Sweep should be in my deck because of this card. That's annoying. Alright, draw a card. Now, the small upside here is we are, you know, a tempo deck, so hopefully we can run them down while killing their stuff so the card advantage from this doesn't overwhelm us. Are they about to draw two? Yeah, I think they are. Actually, maybe it's just one, because this shrinks it, right? I think I just let them draw one. One shock is fine. This card's so good. You got it. I have some cards, I'm a giver. It's like Christmas, chat. Wellspring's looked really good in this deck so far. Consistently. Dracus, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Alright, cantrip into cantrip, please. Cantrip into burn spell. Reckless Rage. Some things die while others feel the pain. Reckless Rage. I wonder if my opponent is going to leave the Sanctuaries in for game 3. Because, like, it definitely feels like a card. Definitely feels like a card that, shouldn't be going on. Like, against a more controlling deck, it's fine, but, like, our deck applies pressure while it's disrupting. I think on the draw, Decisive Denial is probably a bit worse. 2 mana is harder. Trim a Crash through as well, put these Flame Sweeps in. Their hand was full when they died, you're not wrong. Listen, chat, I had 4 draws at that land. Just because I only needed 1. Don't be jealous. Don't hate me because you ain't me. I think we just killed their stuff all the way up the curve, right? Yeah, look at that. It's 10% luck, 20% skill. 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain. This is probably a stomp, right? It's just like shock and play our own thing here. Step on this. Ugh. Honestly, untapped land would be a great draw here. Get to go pet into Bonecrusher. Meander a tapped land, never lucky. We kill this, huh? I'm gonna hang on to these for post-Dorat, I think. And the cleave. Our deck probably needs some ways to interact with them or cleave. We're on just actual 0 in the 75. Yeah, I can hit a reckless rage. That's why I waited and didn't concede. Oh, Abrade's a good one. Yeah, let's put some Abrades in here. I like that suggestion. I think Flame Sweep's kind of bad in this format. The things Flame Sweep is good against are narrow. Quick sideboarding lesson for the folks at home. Don't cut cards like Miscast for cards like Abrade. Those cards are cards for different matchups. So, Flame Sweep, so like Miscast and Disdainful Stroke, and Snakeskin Veil to a lesser degree, these are cards that are good against control. So again, let's do it quick how to build sideboards lessons. Let's clone this. Let's look at my deck list here. Okay, I'm looking at my deck list. How do I want to sideboard this deck against a control deck? Well, Shocks probably come out, right? What else? What else do I dislike in my deck against control? Honestly, the rest of the deck seems kind of fine against control, huh? So it's like Miscast in... Honestly, it's probably just like Miscast into like a couple of... Like if these were Blossoming defenses, a couple of Blossoming defenses. Yeah, I guess you could... You could justify cutting Crash Through. I like this as a threat. This finishes off Narset. The fact that all the control decks are on Narset makes this a little bit less good. So like you could bring in Disdainful Stroke. Honestly, I really kind of like Miscast in this deck. I guess we have a lot of soft counters though. So like looking at this, for example, if this is my post board deck against control, that seems pretty reasonable. I think I'm happy with the rest of the cards. So that means I probably don't need 3 of this effect in my sideboard. We can get rid of the Snakeskin Veil. And that's how you want to figure out, okay, what's supposed to be in my sideboard. You want to be thinking through, how am I sideboarding before you're playing the actual games? You want to be looking at your deck and moving cards in and out, asking yourself the question, okay, how do these things line up here? And we could do the same thing here against Gruul, for example. Clone it again. Okay, how do I want to sideboard against Gruul? Look at my board. I want Reckless Rage. I want Abrade. Spell Pierce is bad. Honestly, it's probably just Crash Through out again. That's pretty clean. And so another good lesson during sideboarding is I go through my plans here and I cut Crash Through twice. That doesn't mean I need to cut Crash Through from my deck. There are such a thing as just good game 1 cards. And Crash Through definitely feels like it qualifies as a good game 1 card. It's a card that's just like kind of filler and helps me find the rest of my cards more consistently. And then post board, I'm replacing it with impactful cards in specific situations, which is nice. That's a thing I often hear from people is like, well, if you're sideboarding this card out And like, you won't always cut Crasher out, right? Like against Cat Oven, for example, you'd leave Crash Through in because you want the trample there, or people that are chump blocking, like a Sedgemoor Witcher Young Pyromancer deck. Yeah, it's kind of like our Embercleave in a way. Embercleave that synergizes with our prowess creatures. What matchups is Miscast better than Dispute in? Basically all of the control matchups. Miscast counters Wrath of God for 1 mana. So for people that missed it earlier, I swapped the Snakeskin Veil to Blossoming Defense because Pteramander can't adapt if you put a 1/1 counter on it. So if you Snakeskin Veil a Pteramander before you've had a chance to adapt it, you can no longer adapt it. I think I'm just stepping on their face here. Smells like Gandalf. Second blue or second red? Based on the texture of my hand at the moment, I think I'd rather have second red. Bizarre Trader, thanks for the follow, by the way. Welcome to the channel. Nivol, welcome. How did Yarok go yesterday? It was a little bit sad. We had a couple of games where we did a sweet thing. And popped off, but I think in general Yarok's playability time has passed in this format. Hey Yoda, thanks for the 10 months. That is why they call content creators influencers. I appreciate you keeping me around. Hey, from Mekaris, thank you for the brand new Prime support. There's a ton of great people you can ship that to every single month here on Twitch. Thanks for sending it this way this month. I think we're in for non-land spells at this point, right? Like a second blue might be good at some point, but we're gonna draw a land eventually, famous last words. I think I want to prioritize getting more instants and sorceries to get Scary Terry going. Green-white Scape Shift. Yes, I think I'd be willing to give that a try. That sounds reasonable. And by reasonable, I mean it might be sweet or it might be terrible. Oh, they're the combo deck. They're not a Gandalf deck. Got it. Well, I'm gonna spell pierce the crap out of this indomitable creativity. They're dead? No? Sub to say your endless stream of cool decks pushed me over into Mythic for the first time last night. Boros midrange slaps like a fish. That one is great. Slaps like a fish is jargon I'm gonna have to remember. That's great. Yeah, you're probably close to the double-digit person that told me they played Boros midrange into Mythic. That deck seems super real. I really hope that one sticks around. It's just like the epitome of just like good, fair, honest creatures. Read. Now, the treasure token is scary. Dead Guy Ale did some of the heavy lifting too. Sweet. The red-white mid-range deck is sweet, but Dead Guy Ale has a special place in my heart. So we murder the dwarf, and then we get to untap and go Dorat into Shock Your Dome, and hopefully they're dead. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to put deck pages back up on my website. I'm gonna have to comb back through all the deck lists that we've played and figure out which ones deserve to be up there and which ones don't. So, Grafdigger's Cage does not stop Indomitable Creativity. Indomitable Creativity puts them into play from exile. Miscast and Disdainful Stroke are both good here. Crash Through comes out, I think. Shock and Bonecrusher Giant can kill the tokens when they try and combo with those. Honestly, are we supposed to put Abrade in? Abrade can kill the treasure tokens. And it kills the token. It's not reach, though. But I'd rather have Abrade than Shock. Category suggestion, bad but sweet decks. Ah, you must not remember my website. We already had a bad but sweet decks. Hey, Lemma, I'm glad you tried it. Historic is definitely great right now. Thanks for the tip, Dr. Mister. And fan favorites is what we called it. So the thing about Soul-Scar Mage is, do I want to go that low on threats? Like, I'm only at, as my thing is covering it, I'm only at 20 creatures, chat. It might be Soul-Scar Mage out instead. Leave the Shock Sigs, they're technically interaction. This hand could be anything, chat. I don't even know what this hand is. I am a powerful wizard. I don't know why you doubted. I don't know why you doubted either. They could technically go Dwarven Mine, get us next turn. Oh, I should have left this open. That's awkward. I should have paid more attention to the auto tapper. I should have left up Shock / Miscast. An Indomitable Creativity puts the card into play from exile, Misha. So it explicitly does not work for us in this matchup. Man, really impressive set here against the combo deck, huh? Abundant Harvest feels like a well-designed Once Upon a Time. And it's great. Hey, don't kill me. We gotta risk it for the biscuit. Yep. Drawing this might have been wrong. Yep. Yeah, I messed that up. I was greedy to draw the Wellspring. Companions are nothing but temptations. I mean, Wellspring's been very good so far this set. It's pretty good. Threat into interaction. Yeah, Decisive Denial's been good this set so far, for sure. Hey, thanks for the 6 months, Scuttles. Welcome back. With the Abrade, I get aggressive here. I have a lot of other interaction in my hand. If they have untapped land, Anger plus Dispute, I get into trouble, or Anger plus Miscast. Well, I guess that's not even strictly true, right? Because this will survive. I have not Billy Zane. It looks sweet, though. We're Aether Gusting my Bonecrusher. I think we're miscasting this, right? Is it too aggro to just abrade my own thing and try and kill them here? Oh, they're dead anyways, right? I'm dumb. I was thinking they were at 10. They're at 8 from the trigger. Would we have had lethal anyways with the stomp? We'd have had 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, you're right. It's harvest time, chat. Man, this card is great. Not 100% sure what I want to do with this yet. In general, waiting to cast this till later seems good, so I can just opt this turn. That was Black Green Magecraft. It was really sweet. I liked it. I liked it a lot. Felt super cohesive. Good disruption, good proactive threats. Adding Harvest to Girl makes a lot of sense if you're not playing Collected Company. Holding up Opt also means we get to beat Bonecrusher. Happy we waited to harvest. I think we just play our own 4-3 here, right? It's their control deck. They could sweep us next turn. Make us a little sad. Seth Meanfield published a clickbait article on what's it called? TCG Player. Which to be fair, he might also not be responsible for it being clickbait. Sometimes editors name the articles as opposed to the people that submit them. I've definitely had the case where my article title went up with something different than what I had in my text file. Yikes. Are you saying the internet doesn't tell the truth? I'm saying the internet frequently lies by omission. Yeah, probably Grixis release here. Joke's on you, opponent. I don't have thoughts to erase. Yeah, with 4 days left, I bet you'd need to get to like top 200 or so today if you wanted to stop playing. Would be my estimate based on how the ladder tends to degrade in the last couple of days. Alright, so Grixis bulky. So Shock and Bonecrusher Giant are probably fine here. Miscast seems good. Blossoming Defense seems good. Crash Through's kind of filler. We can trim that. Maybe I trim one Shock. 7 ways to kill Volky seems like plenty, and I have counter spells that can stop the release as well. I'd rather trim Shock than Bonecrusher, because Bonecrusher's a threat on top of being Disruption, so it's a little bit better when they don't have Volky. Hey, congrats, Winmegas. Would love to hear all of Hooglandia's successes. I mean, so far, our deck has a sample size of 50 minutes and like 5 or 6 matches, so like, I discourage you from making any empirical decisions based on the sample size that you've seen so far. Drops an Ice Draw. gonna smack them for 3 and pass here. I think I want to hold up Pierce/Miscast into their sweeper turn here. And if they don't sweep, I can opt. Oh, Grixis. Oh, Grixis. Stand up for a little bit, huh? Stretch legs out. I agree, Dr. Mr. Punny, that Inquisition is much less impactful than Memory Lapse in Rogues. I don't know that I would count Inquisition as being a super impactful rogue spell. I think that one's pretty marginal, but Memory Lapse is a huge... Memory Lapse is a huge upgrade for rogues, for sure. Sure. I've been kind of underwhelmed by the Grixis Valky decks. Yeah, I've heard good things about Veridusk Glypto numbers. That's probably what I'm gonna look into when I eventually replace this uplift that I have. Shock this in and opt on 1 because I want to try and line up a 3rd land so I can go 2-drop into 2-drop plus 1-drop. And then because I don't have another blue land here, I want to play Dorat this turn and to shock this in, play Dragonsguard Elite, hold up Pierce/Opt next turn. I think I definitely want to just hold up Pierce/Opt here. I think I just let this happen because if I opt into, they'd probably take the opt, but if I opt into a shock, I don't want them to like take the shock or the Bonecrusher Giant. He took Harvest, huh? Cool. I feel like they're supposed to take my opt there. Am I okay to trade this for both of these? I think so, especially with other Dorat in hand. Stomp, our best draw here for sure. Got 3 things in the bin already for Terry. We're basically just firing off the Spell Pierce at the first possible opportunity. Want to pump up the jam. Pump up, the bump up, the wump up, the jam. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. I like how you change your sequence to make the auto tapper do what you want. I mean, it was quicker than clicking on the lands manually, right? Read. Man, imagine if this Spell Pierce was a blossoming defense here. So busted. Obviously, I like Spell Pierce better game 1, but guy can dream. Deal. The harvest is in shit, and it's bountiful. Looking to fade second Skyclave. This is their window to Thoughtseize or Inquisition to see around the Spell Pierce is down. Sprinkle a little Miracle Grow on our board here. Oh, it's so much worse. It's so much worse for us then. Everything went so much worse than we possibly imagined. Alright, well, we really need to draw a Stomp or a Shock next turn, huh? Nailed it! Why not fizzle the rebound? Because I want to attack for 4. Are you gonna try Ephemerate and Dead Guy Ale? No. B, aggressive. B, E, aggressive. D, do, do, do. B, 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 do, do. So they have another apparition here. They get to tag the elite. They do not, so they concede. God bless us, everyone. Reckless Rage, Abrade, Blossoming Defense. Just want more cards that play to the board here. Spell Pierce out. Crash Through out. My last trim. Do we think they're a Thalia deck? Feels like they're a high probability they're a Thalia deck, huh? It's like Decisive Denial's a fight spell. I think if I put them on being a Thalia deck, we trim some ops. Especially against the draw. On the draw against the Thalia deck. Seems not great. Yeah, they probably have Thalia in their 75, and if they do, she's definitely coming in here. Yep, looks great. Cause it's a sneepa keepa doo 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 sneepa keepa doo 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 be doo 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 doo. Abundant Harvest MVP that game. Abundant Harvest MVP every game? So, I think I actually stomp their face here. Because if I go to stomp a creature and they ephemerate it, I kind of get savaged, right? And I just, like, want to get Bonecrusher down so I have a card that plays to the board. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, this is not about to end pretty for us, chap. Feeling dead. Skyclave Apparition is so good, and if it right puts it into overdrive. It's a big dog, chat. Gonna opt in a response here because otherwise they have really good attacks this turn. Now they have no attacks. You know, bye. Thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel this afternoon. I think I play defense for a turn here, because if I attack with Sprite Dragon and they kill Bonecrusher, I get into a world of trouble. Did you ephemerate it? Acquisitions Expert Elite Spellbinder, chat. Not a combo. Okay, so this makes this a 5, and then this makes it an 8, so if they draw a blink here, they're dead. So I can't believe we beat Ephemerate. I can't believe we beat Ephemerate into, the Skyclave Ephemerate on turn 4. Alright, two for one just basically. Moose and Maximus, thanks for the follows. Welcome to the channel this morning. Nah, Wasteland Strangler Skybinder sounds awesome. That sounds sick. Hold up here, son one. With an awkward start. Float mana, working their way up to that 99 plus timeouts. That's number 31. Oh, they're the green-white deck. Wow, super punished. The difference the play versus the draw makes, chat. We're on the play this game. They don't get to company without us having Spell Pierce up. Fatal Push decks are hard for this. Yeah, Fatal Push isn't super popular though, Lenny. That makes sense that piece of fish removal is tough for you, but alright, so we're dead, right? The classic Eldraine into more Eldraine. Was that their nut drop? Not quite. They had a tap land on one. I guess they had a good company on 3 into 4. Yeah, it's pretty close. That's pretty close, actually. Gonna cut these cantrips because the opponent's a Thalia deck. They also have that card that lets you only cast 1 spell per turn, which makes cantrips worse. Gonna go up on removal here. I mean, the Archon was like an extra nail in the coffin. The Lovestruck Beast into the Lovestruck Beast into the Great Hedge is what won that game. We could have beaten an Archon. RTX is catching some of it, but you'll hear some random banging behind me over the microphone. You'll survive. Apologies. Just to let people know they're not going crazy. Well, I might still be. That's fair. That's fair. The banging isn't a result of you being crazy. You might still be. Is a fair assessment of the situation. Looking at the microphone, the RTX is actually catching a lot of it. God bless. Good technology. Who's a good little piece of technology? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yeah, honestly, Optimus, one of Arena's biggest failings of things that they haven't implemented yet, the fact that Arena doesn't have a starters deck queue like Pokemon TCG does is a giant failing. And like, honestly, that would be a good way to get people to play with new cards too. Like, could you imagine if there was just like a Strixhaven school starter deck queue where there were like 5 decks with each of the schools? Where you just like didn't have to own any of the cards to play. You just like had these decks, pre-constructed decks that you'd only play against the other pre-constructed decks by default. It'd be a great way to get people playing. Hey, Alakane, thanks for the entire year. Welcome back. Temur Climb. We're gonna play some Bant Climb later today. Maybe. It might be tomorrow. I gotta take a look at the schedule. We're gonna get to Bant Climb soon, and I'm excited about it. Yikes. I mean, like, for the record, I think people are really jaded and honestly just stupid about the whole Mr. Beast thing. I keep seeing really idiotic comments from people in the community like, why do that instead of doing the Mr. Beast thing? It's like, the Mr. Beast promo was good for the game, and if you don't understand that the Mr. Beast promo is good for the game, I don't know how to fix the amount of stupid that you are. But like, it's possible to do good marketing and also do other good things, chat. Doing good things that make sense are not mutually exclusive in this space. Like, I get it that, like, people are salty that, like, Wizards has an advertising budget for whatever god-awful reason, but, like, the Mr. Beast budget is not the Magic Arena development budget. Those are different buckets. I am saying big companies have different piles of money for different things, yeah? I could shock face, right? Yes, that's a good catch. I missed 2 damage there. Because the Soul-Scar, because I was going to Reckless Rage the Sprite Dragon. That's a good catch. Thanks for pointing that out. The 50k on 3 devs was them being facetious patches, but like Wizards, if you look at Wizards employment stuff, like $50,000 is not that far off of what they pay one new starting dev. What was the land I added? You just want to look at the mana base, Lenny. I retooled your mana base. I changed a number of cards in it. I don't remember exactly what I did. You'll just want to import it and compare if you want to compare to what you had to start. WotC doesn't have a bucket marked Spectator Tournament Mode because Spectator Tournament Mode isn't a feature that makes money, chat. Like, people have this really convoluted idea that there's a bunch of people out there that care about Magic esports, and the only thing keeping them from watching more Magic esports is a Spectator Mode. That's not true. If Wizards snapped their fingers and suddenly had a spectator mode in their client, it wouldn't cause a bunch more people to suddenly start watching these events. And like, anecdotally, you can say that, oh, me personally and all of my friends, it would be a big change for us, Jeff, but it wouldn't. Like, your anecdote is bad. The amount of extra money for putting in a feature like that, like, yeah, would it be ideal to have if Arena was a perfect piece of software? Yeah, it would have spectator mode. But like, in the reality, like things they could spend money on in terms of getting a return, it's almost literally at the bottom. At best, it's difficult to measure that ROI. Is there an in-game tournament mode? No, of course not. We use the third-party site MTG Melee to run tournaments through. Yeah, spectator mode would have the biggest benefit to tournament organizers and people who play in them. Thanks, Mr. Sinan. The number one thing I always like to remind people of is that if you are a person who plays in competitive card game tournaments, you are automatically in the minority of card game players. Like, your opinions automatically are in a group of people that are like small and largely insignificant in terms of who spends money and who makes money, how they make money. Venduent and Snapcaster Kyle, thanks for the follows. Sure, but like, so like, you know, you point to Mythgard and they're like, that's like when you point to like companies like Mythgard and Runeterra that do things differently that Arena does, those companies have to do things differently, chat, because they're not established and they're trying to differentiate themselves. Mythgard and Runeterra don't just get to say, we're Magic, people are gonna show up and play because we're Magic, right? Like, they have to offer these things that Magic and these other games don't do to give people a reason to even try their game to begin with. And even then, that's not always enough, right? Like, think of how many people, I'm sure there's a number of people in the audience that are like me and like played Runeterra and bounced off of it, even though it has good features. Like, pound for pound, if you know, the same game was on the Arena client and the Runeterra client, I would choose the Runeterra client every time. But like, Magic and Runeterra are not the same game, and in their current state, game to game, Magic's a much better game in my opinion. And that's subjective, feel free to disagree, but like, that's the reality. Thanks for the follow, Still Rims. Scale of 1 to dead, how dead are you? I mean, to be fair, most games fail at doing a lot of the good things that Magic does. Like, as someone who enjoys playing best of 3 with sideboards, as we go to sideboarding here, basically no other card game offers that as a gameplay experience. Mythgard, to their credit, has it on their roadmap, and they intend to do that at some point. Why are we off Runeterra again? Because their current format isn't enjoyable to play, it's narrow and not well balanced, and their game is best of 1, so you can't fix the things that feel bad by playing best of 3 with sideboards. Their current constructed format feels a lot like playing best of 1 modern or historic. All right, what am I doing? So I'm going to bring in I don't really know what the opponent's doing here. Less is probably more. I'm going to bring in Blossoming Defense over Spell Pierce. I think I was going to click Submit here because we didn't really see what kind of threats and stuff they're playing. Being first to market is huge. User acquisition is incredibly expensive. Like, I tried very hard to like Runeterra. I gave up a lot of income trying to like Runeterra, and just like the gameplay, just like where they got to, it just, you know, wasn't for me. Is this Sultai Ultimatum? I don't know. They played a bunch of discard spells. They played Binding the Old Gods, which I guess could be Sultai Ultimatum, but that's really not definitive. So there could be merit to holding this until like Blossoming Defense to protect it, but they also have a plethora of discard spells, so it's not necessarily safe in my hand. Yeah, all things considered, that's why the Mr. Beast event was good. It was user acquisition that was relatively cheap. I'm gonna hard switch to Artifact 2.0. Did you not hear, Jin? They officially killed Artifact 2.0. I think Binding's still pretty good in Sultai Ultimatum even without Yorion, because Binding's a removal spell that ramps you. Yeah, you know, that being said, Artifact 2.0 officially dead. That which is dead may never die, I think is probably applicable there. How does Binding ramp? The second chapter gets you a land out of your deck, Mitchell. Oh, actually, in some related industry news related to Valve and their inability to make sequels, I got an email in my inbox from a group of developers that are releasing a first-person puzzle game soon, and they're the same people that made, some of the same people that worked on Portal 1 and Portal 2. And it looks real sweet. We're gonna play that on stream at some point when it releases this summer. And what was it called? Claire de Lune. Weird name. The graphics look good and the puzzles look interesting. I'm excited for that one. Yikes. Runeterra is like a Hades-esque game, right? I'm not really big on that style of game. Near Replicant, not in the immediate future. I've got, we're gonna be doing Pikmin 3 later this week. I think I'm gonna start doing variety segments at the end of the streams again, either on Wednesday or Thursday. Pikmin 3 is gonna be the next game that we're gonna play. And then we're gonna do the original Bioshock, because Bioshock Infinite was really good. All right, so I think I want some strokes here. Maybe over a couple of these crash throughs. Actually, the shocks don't seem very good, right? I played the first two Pikmin games. I have not. I'm going to try a couple of shocks and put in a couple of strokes here. Not super exciting, but it's definitely keepable. They finally gave me borderless stroke guards, so I'm using the borderless ones. How do you feel about the Bioshock Infinite ending? It was weird. I don't know that I'd call it bad. It was a neat twist, I guess. Rude. You're playing Magic Legends. Man. Speaking of games people would have never touched if they weren't called Magic the Gathering. No, I'm not familiar with those, Isabus. Feels dead, man. Man, we're really good at flooding out in this 20 land deck. I mean, like, you know, in decks full of cantrips, you expect to draw a little bit more lands than, like, what your land count represents, but definitely feels like a little bit above the average here. The Shuffler is out to get us. Cremonian Jones, thanks for the follow. You tried not flooding. It's a strong line. Strong line. Magic Legends currently has 37 viewers on Twitch. Yikes. Do I have any changes for this? I don't know that I do. I guess Decisive Denial kind of overperformed, so I kind of would like to get up to 4 copies of that. Isn't Magic Legends still in beta? I'm gonna let you in on a dirty little secret of the games industry, chat. If a company is willing to take your money for their game is not in beta. If their game has microtransactions in it that you can spend money on, the only reason the beta tag is there is for a company to have an excuse for shit to not work right. If your game is actually a beta and you actually need to test things, you won't take money from your people. You'll let them get a certain amount for free to test the features on it. And they leave these games in endless beta so they have a cop-out to say, oh, the frame rate issues that we haven't fixed, those are because we're in beta. And oh, this feature that's missing, that's because we're in beta. It's a meaningless tag. If they're taking your money on microtransactions, the game is released. Quintivis, thank you for the 2 years of support. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Magic Arena's been out of beta for a long time, chat. It's been released for a long time. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I know we flooded a little bit there, and like, that's Magic, and sometimes you flood and you die, but this deck kind of impressed me overall. Like, these two together felt really clean. Decisive Denial felt nice and flexible in different spots where we wanted it to be. Abundant Harvest continues to be really impressive, allowing us to keep honestly, the most powerful part about this card is just the huge range of keeps that it enables. You know, being able to keep one-landers with Abundant Harvest Greenland, while, you know, it not being a land in other hands and at other times, it's just like really, really potent. So if you like, you know, Temur Delver style decks, if you're a Legacy player and that type of archetype appeals to you, this seems like a reasonable thing to try in Historic for the time being. You want to try Growth Chamber Guardian? I definitely would not cut Pteramander. I don't think Growth Chamber Guardian is better than any of the cards this deck's already playing. As someone who has an unhealthy infatuation with Growth Chamber Guardian, I don't think that would be a good addition to this deck. Needs more Stifle. Obviously need to play some Tail's End.